Hello to you, I'm Jessie R. Johnson. This is cyber warfare, world war, information security warfare, its basics. This video is in 5 parts. Please watch all 5 parts. This will give you an overall grasp of the world situation in the cyber war realm, which is real and which is accelerating, escalating, and becoming more omnious. We will begin in part 5 exactly where part 4 left off. Near Halloween, shadow brokers reappeared. This time they broke into the NSA, National Security Agency, with the NSA's web addresses, decoy servers all over the world, giving the USA allies and adversaries a map of secret NSA hacking operations all over Earth. Instead of thanking shadow brokers for showing NSA's failures and weaknesses, the United States government wanted to retaliate. Typical United States of American reaction, blaming problems on external factors, not taking responsibility for their own failure, prosecuting those who help you. Now, one of the roads to true power is never make enemies. Not knowing cyber abilities is always to get screwed. This is what shadow brokers stated to Joe Biden, present president of the USA at the moment. Maybe stop election from coming. Maybe hacking election best idea. These people aren't joking. This is what the shadow brokers said to the United States of America's government in general. Last week, shadow brokers be trying to help people. This week, shadow brokers be thinking, fuck peoples. If the United States lasts for another 50 years, it'll be amazing and unbelievable, because the government of at all levels and corporations at all levels running the show are unforgivable incompetent. This thanklessness of the United States government and corporations irritated shadow brokers. They unleashed a damaging leak. Instead of the government that makes friends, the United States of America makes enemies. The damages to the NSA technology companies, their customers, went from $1 million to tens of millions to hundreds of millions of dollars. As an example, the codes for national security agencies 20 most powerful and coveted zero-day exploits they had spent months building and perfecting tools which net the best espionage, surveillance, counterintelligence any agency could get. Now, power to inflict. This was power to inflict mass destruction on a nation-state-wide scales. Worms, bugs, exploits, jailbreaks that could self-replicate, malware on complete world scale. It was online and almost everywhere else for everyone and anyone to see and use and take, including the Eternal Blue. Eternal Blue, ETERNALBLUE, Eternal Exploit bug, one of the most powerful bugs, computer bugs at that time, capable of penetrating tens to hundreds of millions of Windows machines, Windows on the computer, Windows machines, without leaving a single trace. Eternal Blue was a monster. We'll go to number 33 now. In 2017, May thereof, 50 British hospitals came under assault from a ransomware attack. And this included Russian railroads and banks, Germany's railways, French automaker Renault, Indian Airlines, 4,000 universities, large and small, in China, Spain's largest telecommunication, Telefonica and Hitachi, and Nissan in Japan, a hospital in Taiwan, largest movie theater chains in South Korea, virtually every gas station run by PetroChina, In the USA, FedEx, small electrical utility companies across the U.S., these were all held hostage by ransomware, demanding $300 each from each one and others to decrypt their own data. In 24 hours, 200,000 organizations in 150 countries were infected. This is what these bugs and computer jailbreaks and 0 days can do. The bug used, this is Eternal Blue. Now, the bug used was WannaCry. Now, WannaCry, the bug used was WannaCry, WANNACRY, WannaCry. The catalyst used the NSA's own Eternal Blue bug was the catalyst used for WannaCry. The work of a group named Lazarus, LAZARUS. Now, a North Korean hacking unit, now making a cyber heist at multiple banks to transfer $1 billion from the United States Federal Bank. Another bug called NotPetya, NOTPETYA, shut down Merck, a pharmaceutical giant, factory floors, multinational law firm, DLA Piper, had no computer access. Britain's Reckitt, RECKITT, Reckitt Benckiser, BENCKISER. Britain's Reckitt Benckiser were offline for weeks. Now, to continue, FedEx was also offline. Maersk, the world's largest shipping operator, was paralyzed at hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. India's largest shipping port digitally froze. Hospitals in Virginia and Pennsylvania locked out of their own patients' records, and Tasmania was hit. The bug backfired on Moscow, who sent it. The Rosneft, ROSNEFT, a Russian oil giant, went down digitally. The internet has no borders. You must remember this. The Russian attack using NotPetya, NOTPETYA, qualified as an act of war because it was so damn powerful. Now, a demonstration of how a single NSA stolen cyber weapon could do as much or more damage as a standing engaged military. For decades, the United States of America had conducted cyber war on others without seeing it might boomerang on them. Invisible armies at the United States is Gates, seeping inside our machines, political processes, our grids already. The agreement President Obama back then reached with China to end industrial espionage and attack ended the day Donald Trump, that is, who became president after Obama, started a trade war with China. Trump's removal of the Iran nuclear deal made more cyber attacks on the USA's interest. The Kremlin never stopped hacking United States' elections, systems, or infrastructure. North Korea hacked the exchanges that convert Bitcoin to cash, generating hundreds of millions of dollars for itself in revenue, and bypassed the sanctions that were put onto it. But the most destructive threat to the United States of America, to its civil discourse, truth and fact, came from inside the White House. Let me read that again. The most destructive threat to the United States, to its own civil discourse, truth and fact, came from inside the White House. In other words, the United States government is one of its worst god-dog enemies. Now, the NSA's own stolen tool, Eternal Blue, was being used in cyber attacks against the United States of America's towns, cities, and networks. This was in 2019. Allentown, Pennsylvania, city services were disrupted. Baltimore no longer could pay their water bills, property taxes, or parking fines. NSA had dumped the world's most advanced hacking and spy tools in everyone's lap, and this included enemies. Number 34. The Chinese government and other organizations used the tools against their own people first. Well, I'll read that again. The Chinese government and other organizations use the best tools against their own people first. Then those tools are turned on the United States of America and its other adversaries. The United States of America's hackers was doing the same to them and others. In 2018, Iranian attackers were pounding United States of America's government agencies. Telecom or telecommunications and critical infrastructure. In other words, death by a million microcuts. In 2019, the United States of America had a bug called NitroZeus, NitroZeus, to offer Iran a death by a million microcuts themselves. In other words, MAD, MAD, was standing for mutually assured destruction. Now, or it's just plain insane. Donald Trump, that is, President of the United States at that moment, ordered Cyber Command to destroy Iranian computers believed to be used to attack oil tankers or U.S. interest. Tehran responded in kind, hacking over 200 oil and gas and heavy machinery companies in the Middle East and the United States of America, taking secrets, wiping out data, costing over $100 million. Between August and September, Iranian hackers made over 2,700 attempts against Trump's campaign. Russia and many other nations interfered in the United States of America's elections. There are hackers and brokers who have no trouble selling to dictators, despots, tyrants, nation-state terrorists, freedom fighters, authoritarians, fascists, Republicans, cyber criminals, U.S. Democrats, mass murderers, oppressors, mass enslavers, capitalists, communists, etc. have no problem selling to anybody. Now, President Trump finally saw his error and signed a CISA. That means Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency Act in 2018. The capitalist system is its own worst enemy. It will sell to its worst enemies. It doesn't matter. Money trumps every damn thing. Now, to continue. Number 35. By 2019, over 600 towns, cities, and counties in the United States of America were held hostage by ransomware hackers. Big and small cities, big and small counties. Cyber criminals wanted money and revenge. Anything having a digital pulse was fair game. Motivated by politics this time. In the beginning, the United States of America considered its own hackers, criminals, and to be put in jail. In Russia, their hackers were and are considered a national treasure, a national asset. Their motto in Russia is win through force of politics rather than the politics of force. In other words, tie your adversaries up in politics and confusion, manipulate their elections, voter registration, switch voter addresses, registered voters as unregistered, delete voters, disenfranchise millions, and attack registration systems, probe voting systems. In short, the whole world is involved. Cyber war is world war without bullets or bombs, and is escalating. Attack anything large or small of an adversary that is digital, that may hurt or even kill its people, and can be denied totally to stay completely invisible to everything you're doing to someone else. You see, everything can be intercepted. The gap between what the United States can do and the United States' adversaries can do is almost sufficiently closed at this particular time in 2023. The world in general is on the edge of a cyber catastrophe, a 20-point earthquake earthwide, so to speak, digitally speaking, that is. We must look down. Pardon me, not look. We must lock down the code. Stop keeping people in the dark of dangers to themselves. Stop penalizing products listen to this. Stop penalizing products with the most secure software, but learn from it. The world loses from cyber attacks worldwide. 3 trillion, trillion, trillion dollars yearly. Security starts from inception and beginning. To build secure code, you must understand why vulnerabilities exist before it goes to the market and anywhere else. If I were in Russia, I would be speaking of what others are doing to Russia. If in North Korea, what others are doing to North Korea, etc., etc. In the United States of America, what others are doing to the United States of America. There is no one-sided anything. We are all doing terrible things to each other. To continue now, everything is vulnerable. In the digitally speaking, everything can be captured digitally. Everything is exploitable. In retaliation for the murder of George Floyd in the United States of America by a white racist police officer, of which most white police officers in fact are white racist. And as a matter of fact, the whole United States ran mainly by the white man and a few white women, or all 50 states are white racist and white anti-American. But in retaliation for the murder of George Floyd by a white police, hackers affiliated with Anonymous hacked over 200 police departments and FBI stations across the country in support of Black Lives Matter protests, revealing the levels of institutionalized systemic white racism and white anti-Americanism. Is these mainly white man-controlled toxic security cultures by dumping over 10 years' worth of law enforcement data online, the largest public published hack of United States American law enforcement agencies. The world is in a race to the bottom. Our ignorance is our greatest handicap. Open source software make up about 85% of modern software. The Heartbleed, HEARTBLEED, the Heartbleed bug was discovered in open source SSL encryption protocol. This left over 1 million systems of all types vulnerable. Heartbleed revealed its code was left to one man named Steve in England who could barely afford a hamburger. Can you believe this? This powerful bug was left to one single individual. A bug that could destroy millions of people's lives in all different countries, not just in the United States of America, was left to one man. Now, in Heartbleed was found. The USA, Europe, and others offered bounties and open source code audits. Open source is an easy way in for even small-time hackers. Example, hackers exploited unpatched open source code to breach Equifax. The Credit Monitor took data belonging to 150 million United States Americans. What if their goal had been to erase or delete all of this information in 10 to 30 seconds? This wasn't Russia or China, but hackers within the United States of America, holding companies liable for damages from hacking incidents that exploit known, not unknown, known vulnerabilities when such digital holes should have been patched. HOLES. Digital holes should have been patched, or create a certification and labeling authority, or mandate. This is a few things that can be done. Now, the thing is that, I'll say it again, you hold companies liable for damages from hacking incidents that exploit known, not unknown, known vulnerabilities when such digital abilities, holes should have been patched, or create a certification and labeling authority, or mandate cybersecurity to licensed programmers to maintain critical code. These codes are in cars, phones, weapon systems, unprotected. These unprotected codes are baked into hundreds of millions to tens of billions of systems. This highlights the need to provide developers with multi-factor authentication and other verification tools and methods. Rethinking the basic structure of our machines. Redesign chips to keep malicious code from running on chips, or use strong multiple different passwords and 2 to 20 multi-factor authentication methods. Reestablish a National Cybersecurity Coordinator Administration, or have operators stop using old unsupported software, or use air gaps in critical systems, or penalize companies that don't perform testing, threat monitoring, etc. Or make cybersecurity make cybersecurity core to training and corporate culture. Norway has the most advanced and secure cyber culture on earth. The United States of America is far behind Norway, very far behind, mandating clear security requirements by a government culture, corporate culture, schooling systems, and individuals. Cyber attacks rely on vulnerabilities, or tax credit for companies that develop secure software. It is technical issues that is the problem, not the hackers or code crackers. Or stop using old, outdated shit. The shadow brokers leaks included 4 years old Oracle implant, ORACLE, an implant, an Oracle implant, a bug in other words. Or put expiration dates on all 0 days and bugs of 1 or 2 years. Some of the most dim-witted people make up the presidents, Congress, senators, generals, mayors, etc. Things which are obvious for security are pissed on or bypassed by these political dull to almost to high-level moron intelligences, or have the government and computers turn over all their bugs for patching, or patch all systems as soon as possible, or any hacker or broker the government do business with gives them, the government that is, the exclusive rights of use and for patching, or make a law to keep the NSA, the National Security Agency, from hacking the White House, and should never tutor our adversaries or agree with every country on what targets is to be never cyber attacked by anyone, such as food and water supplies, hospitals, passenger airplanes in the air, etc., or make offensive cyber equal to defensive cyber. Let me restate this. Make offensive cyber equal to defensive cyber instead of being unbalanced, one more than the other. This has been part 5, and if you have not seen part 1, 2, 3, 4, please do so. And I want to please share this video and subscribe, and have a fine day.